Welcome to Hello You. Yes, you. The podcast that opens up the full spectrum of mental health like never before. We're not here to skim the surface. We go deep into every corner of the human experience. From international athletes to high-powered CEOs, everyday heroes to global change makers. Our guests bring raw, real, and radically different perspective on what mental health really means. This is your space, a place for truth, stories, and connection. Whether you're thriving, surviving, or somewhere in between, we're here to remind you you're not alone. So pull up a chair, take a breath, and let's talk about the stuff that matters. Welcome to the most open, honest, and inclusive mental health conversation in the world. I'm your host, Dan Darwin, and welcome to Hello You. Hello You would like to thank our title sponsors, the Loss Prevention Department at Next PLC. Hello and welcome to another episode of Hello You. Today, my guest is Dave. So Dave, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself to our audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, so I'm Dave. I am living with an amputation of my right arm and right leg. I had an accident when I was 18 years old, very drunk one evening, and actually got run over by a train at a local train station in Bedhampton near me. And that's me, really.
Okay, so the person who sits in front of me now, and those who are watching and not just listening, very jovial, seem to have taken it, I'm going to say this, taken it in your stride.
Yeah.
But, so, I'm going to ask you, let's go back. Let's go back to how old were you when the accident happened?
I would have been around, it was either just before I was 18 or just after I was 18, because it was in June 2002. So I was literally on a night out. We'd started drinking quite early. Unfortunately, it was all around football because I believe it was the World Cup at the time. So because it was over in South America, I believe it was being televised here quite early on in the afternoon. So we obviously went to the pub from around about midday, was drinking, had no intention of kind of drinking all day because I was going to watch the football. Then you bump into more friends and they then, should we go out for a drink? Which then kind of took me to go out into the local town centre. I was then drinking all day. I'm not contributing it all to alcohol, but obviously that didn't help. And then I got the train home, just being my usual comical self, being stupid, attention seeking. And it was the old slam door train. So for people who don't know what that was, you had to pull the window down, put your hand on the outside of the train, turn the handle and open the door. They didn't have like the automatic doors they had now. And I still had friends on the train, so I was just being stupid and I was holding onto the window. I lifted my legs up as the train was leaving the station and realised we were quickly running out of platform. So I had to be like, right, I need to let go now. And as I did, obviously being drunk, a moving train, as I hit the platform, I've lost my footing. I believe I may have like rolled or done something, fallen between two carriages rather than the platform and the train, and literally just fell between them, and then it ran over and cut my arm and leg off.
Okay, so horrific injuries from
it is.
That ends up after just a average night out.
A night out, yeah.
Something you don't ever expect when you leave the house, is it?
To be fair, it's nothing I would have even normally have done. Normally, I'm the type of character that would do like silly things, say silly things, come out with silly jokes. But for some reason, I've decided that this would be a good idea, and lo and behold, it wasn't. Yeah, no, and lucky enough to tell the tale still.
Yeah, of course, because my previous career, was working on the railway, so I've seen firsthand the damage a train can do, and they can't stop. They take 1.25 miles to stop, and they cannot deviate off of that track. So once you fall in front of it, that's...
Yeah, well, it was more... What was even worse as well was it was more the last 2 or 3 carriages, so the train driver didn't even see. So I also understand that, because again, due to the alcohol and the shock, I don't really remember anything. So it's only what people have told me. But I've not been the one to go out and ask people either, because my perception of it is ignorance is bliss. Because I don't know what happened, I don't need to relive it as well, sort of thing. So it's only been what people have... So if I'm out doing something, they'll be like, oh yeah, Dave did that. So I haven't directly gone to my friends and gone, look, can we sit down? What's happened? Yeah. Because me as a person, I think I would cope with it better not knowing, because then I've not got that in the back of my mind of what's happened. Even to the extent that I think during my rehabilitation, I actually went on a train. So because again, it didn't bother me because my amputation happened due to a direct incident of myself. I think if it was another way around and it was like somebody had pushed me or a trainer derailed, that was out of my control. So because it was my fault, I can overcome that fear of getting back on a train again, because people are still surprised that I get on trains.
Yeah.
But when I tell them, actually, it was my fault, now I just wait for the train to stop, I get off the train, and I walk away from the yellow line.
Yeah.
So that's obviously helped quite massively.
Yeah, and I guess, that mental mindset. So I can understand it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So obviously this has happened. How old were you again?
So I was 18.
18.
So quite young.
Yeah. So let's talk about what happens after that, because at any point in your life, to lose a limb, let alone two, is traumatic.
Yeah.
And a lot to go through in the process. I'm guessing life-changing for you.
Yeah, definitely. So again, just going back, I then got admitted to hospital on like the Friday night. I was put into an induced coma, and my parents were told, look, we've put him in a coma. He'll wake up. We'll wake him up Monday morning using the drugs that we need to wake him up. Go home. Don't worry about anything. And I think from then, I don't know whether it was my body or what, or whether somebody had slipped up in the hospital, but I basically naturally woke up the next morning, obviously in absolute agony, so sensitive. I've had my arm and leg, had my arm was pretty much torn off, because I've still got like quite big scarring, and they did try to save that, but they decided to cut it off during the night. But my leg was clean off, so I didn't have an option in that one. I was gone.
Yeah.
Just waking up in the morning, and apparently one of my first comments I made was, how am I going to play my PlayStation? So that was my immediate concern. So then my next thought process from there on, of having that in my head, was, okay, I now need to overcome this, because I now need to play my PlayStation. So I basically just, from that moment of waking up, straight away I was like, what am I going to do in my life now? I need to do this. I didn't wallow in self-pity once. I was, again, being quite young, I felt kind of slightly embarrassed that I had nurses looking after me to help me go to the toilet, to help me bath. And it was quite degrading, because I think there were some nurses that were probably my age training. And I was just like, I can't have somebody doing this. So from there, my mentality just ramped up. I was like, no, I need to do this for myself, to the extent that I didn't even, while I was in hospital, I didn't even have nurses helping me. I was hopping to the toilet.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can understand that factor of it. It's amazing what goes through your brain, the first thing you think of. And obviously we're going to talk about gaming later for you, because it is a big part of what you do now. But obviously as an 18-year-old, that confidence levels are going to change massively, aren't they? And how you see yourself, how people perceive you, and how you think people perceive you, that changes, right?
Yeah.
So during the hospital, how do you keep your mindset? How did you keep that mindset?
Mine personally started from the fact when I got my first meal, and it was absolutely horrific. So I was like, I need to get out of here. I just personally find hospitals depressing. People are only allowed to see you at a certain time. They're not allowed in. You're only allowed a certain number of people in, and it's just depressing. So again, going back to that, I was surprisingly only in hospital for 2.5 weeks.
Okay. From
the moment of being admitted on the Friday, it was 2.5 weeks, because then it was the fortnight and then the Wednesday after. And even then I was only allowed home because I had to stay in hospital until I had my sutures out. So I wasn't allowed to go home until they were out, and literally the day after I was discharged. And from then on, that's when my rehabilitation started, going to physio at the Limb Centre just down in St Mary's in Portsmouth. But then I must admit, I had a really good group of friends at the first stage of it who were like, no, you're coming out, let's get out. Because I must admit, there probably was elements of me where I was like, I don't want to go out. I can't go out. I've got this, and had that self-doubt. So I must admit, my friends in the early stages definitely helped me with that, to the extent that when I was going through my rehabilitation, you've got to put your trust in a prosthetic leg, which is quite daunting, because you've got this thing underneath that you've got no control over. And actually, another thing that kind of really helped me in my rehabilitation, because I was 18 and young and I had friends, I was still going out clubbing with a prosthetic leg. But actually, that actually helped me to start walking again, because where I had a crutch, I was relying on my crutch rather than my leg. So I put all my weight over there, so it wasn't helping my posture. That going into a nightclub, you're not allowed to bring a crutch in because security look at it as an
Yeah.
offensive weapon.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
actually, me going clubbing helped me to walk again because I then stopped having to rely on my crutch.
Yeah.
So just, I think being young also helped because
Okay.
I had them elements of going clubbing. I had a big group of friends that would take me out. So we'd go play like golf, we'd go clubbing and all these sorts of things as well. So that actually helped me.
Yeah.
And then shortly after, during my rehabilitation and getting my leg and that, I then met my now current wife, Sarah. So she's been really helpful in terms of helping me overcome things. So little things like I would be quite self-conscious about like not wearing my leg or having my stump out. I'd wear like a stump sock, they call it, which is just basically like a sock you'd wear on your foot. So it's just a white sock because I don't like the look of it. And she'd be like, nope, you're not wearing that.
Yeah.
You're not doing this. Come on, we're going out. You're doing this. And then I think even 6 months into our relationship, she was like, right, you need to get a job now. You're not sitting at home. And when I sit back and look at it now, I think, do you know what? That was brilliant because that helped me because I would have just have possibly have self-wallowed and sat at home doing nothing. So even shortly after my accident, I've literally worked full-time ever since. And yeah, and I must attribute that a lot to her as well as all like my friends. So yeah, she has helped me through a lot and we're still together now, which is quite nice. So what, 22 years and 3 children.
Yeah.
So yeah, she has helped me out massively.
And, before we came on air, had a chat with you and your wife, and the dynamic is really good between you two, and you can see that. So it is good how you bounce off of each other.
Yeah.
And I think it does show you then when we talk about mental health, and those 2 words still has a massive stigma, and this is why we do what we do. Because everyone just thinks when we talk mental health, it's got to be bad.
Yeah.
And you've been through something so horrific, yet I can still see that positivity that's flowing through you, and that's inspiring.
Yeah.
In the way you've dealt with it. And I'm going to ask you, were there dark days there? Were there times where...
Oh, massively. I've had times when I must admit I have self-doubted. I've not gone through with anything dangerous or causing any self-harm or inflicting any kind of damage to myself, but certainly in the early stages, and I must admit alcohol played a big part in that. I didn't turn to alcoholism, but I would, if I went out on a night out, I'd drink and then I'd be like, do you know what, this is crap. I hate my leg, I hate this and all and things like that, because there are days where I would go out with a wife and would go for a walk, but obviously because I can't walk for a long period of time and because I solely rely on my prosthetic, I kind of had that thought in my head as well that I don't want to go in a wheelchair because I don't want to view myself as disabled. Yet if I saw somebody in a wheelchair or I was in a wheelchair, I'd be like, no, that's because I can't walk. And I would hate myself. But then there'll be the elements of, I would actually sit there and think, do you know what? No, I don't need that. I am quite positive, because I would then sit there and think to myself, at least I can go for a walk. At least I'm here alive, being able to go for a walk. And I can't do this to my children. And I want to, they want to play football. So I'll play football with them. And yeah, I guess it's just, I then look at other people and I sit there and I think they're in a worse situation than me. So yes, I'm missing an arm and a leg, but I know there are people out there that are missing 2 arms and 2 legs and can't do nothing. And I think that's where a lot of my positivity comes from, because I know I'm in a better situation than others.
And sometimes, and I'm a big believer in gratitude, and I gratitude meditate every day. And I was saying to you before we came on air that I do believe that sometimes if you everybody in a room wrote their problems down, we put them on a table, we'd all read each other's problems and take our own back. And it helps put it in perspective. And you saying that, looking at other people, helping you to put your stuff in perspective, I think really highlights how we can keep a good, positive mental health and good resilience around it.
Yeah.
And I certainly couldn't imagine being in your position. I certainly couldn't. I don't know where I'd even start. If I woke up and my arm and leg was gone, I don't know how I would function. So this is why it's so inspiring. And when you said about coming on, and for the listeners, I said I've got to have you on the podcast, because you will inspire so many people that are having problems, and not just the disability side of it, but just mental health issues in general, and they look at how other people are living their life and the positivity that you're bringing. And having spoken to you this morning, I can see where you're at and that mindset. How do you keep it there?
Do you know, I must admit, I think it's just because I'm appreciative of the things that I've got, basically. And I wouldn't even say it's letting people down. Like, I don't know, I just wake up in the morning and I just put my leg on and go as my day as I would. And I think a lot of it is I just appreciate, like I say, I just appreciate what I've got. So as a highlight, for example, with my prosthetic leg, there's new technology coming out, but I'm not one to go, I want that technology. I don't act spoiled because I appreciate the fact that I've got a leg and I can walk around. Whereas I go to the limb centre and I see people, they can't wear a limb because either their stump's too short or they're too old to wear one, so they're bound to a wheelchair. So I actually just appreciate what I've got.
Yeah.
Whereas my wife, and this is when she's really good, because she doesn't view me as disabled, and sometimes she actually forgets that I'm disabled. So we'll go for a walk and I've got to say to her, look, I've got to ease up now because my leg's starting to feel a bit uncomfortable, and she'll actually go, oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
And I'd like her to come to all my meetings as well, because so we was at physio a couple of weeks back while I was trialing this new prosthetic leg that I've got now, and I'd sit there and I'd be like, oh no, my current leg's fine, whereas she'd go, actually no, it's not, because you can't go in the water with the children because your leg's not waterproof, so what are you going to do? She's my we're like yin and yang sort of thing, so we do really work well together. And I do like her coming to meetings and things like that, because she would actually, what I think is okay, she might go, actually no, it's not, what are you going to do about this? And I think that's part of the reason why I've got the leg that I've got now as well, because she'd sit there and she was saying to the physiotherapist and the clinician, she was going, no, he wants to go in the water and he wants to be able to run and he wants to be able to play football, because he can't do that and run with his kids at the moment.
Yeah.
And I never have been able to since I had my accident, because unfortunately we're bound by technology as well. And it's only now really in the last, I think it's 2 or 3 years, that technology's grown now and they're actually bringing legs out that can do all these 3-in-1 things. So
yeah. And you showed me earlier how it can lock in place, how you can turn that lock off and it can bend, and the actual blade on the foot, so you're going to be able to run and all those things. And obviously as technology goes forward, it gives you another lease of life, I guess. Yeah. So and how does that work? Is that funded? Is it?
So it's all funded through the NHS, thankfully, because they are expensive. I believe the one that I've got now, I was told, is around about £20,000. So I mean, what's that? That's a new car to people. So actually, if it wasn't funded, then I don't know what we would do. Yeah. But there are legs out there that are better, but which is one that I try to push for. But unfortunately and rightfully, I can see why they've done it. But that's funding is for veterans. Okay. So again, so at least they've got something. Yeah. So when they, obviously, if they are on the unfortunate circumstance that they lose a limb, they've got the better leg. Okay. So I've got the next one down from that. So I can't complain too much.
No, and I guess there's an element of people out there, and I don't mean this if it comes across offensive. There have probably been an element of people out there that have lost legs through no fault of their own, who probably look at you and go, "Well, you were drunk that night." Yeah, and probably is. And they probably look at you and go, you know, we're still waiting for similar technology, but we've had a car crash. Or I can understand the veteran point of view, that they've out there serving the country and may have stepped on an IED or whatever has happened. Yeah. So how would you deal with that? How do you see that?
Well, thankfully, while I've been at physio, I think people aren't really kind of open to talking much, so that you don't have that kind of element of interaction where people are like, you've got a better leg. But then with legs as well, it's almost like when you get a car on like hire purchase, you are in like a contract. So my last leg, it's like a service package, so you've got to keep it for a certain amount of time. So like they said with this one, once I'm happy with it and I want to go ahead and keep it from the trial, I've got to have it for 5 years. Mm-hmm. So you are in kind of a package then. But again, I'm not one to complain because I'm not paying for it. But actually, going back to you saying about the leg, I've actually had people come up to me because part of obviously missing my leg, I therefore am entitled to Motability. Okay. So therefore I get a car funded. I mean, instead of me getting a benefit in terms of like cash in my bank, I can have the choice of having a car. I've actually had people I've worked with actually asking me, why should I get a car? Because it was my fault. I have legitimately had somebody mention that before.
And how did you deal with that at the time?
Well, at the end of the day, if it's available to me, I'm going to take it. And so, but again, what they don't realise is I'm funding that each month. That does cost me money. So instead of getting the money in my bank, I pay for it each month. Mm-hmm. I also have to pay an advance payment, and then at the end of the 3 years, I've got to give that back. So with the things like an advance payment, they give you a price list of cars. So you've got a list of things. And every 3 years, I've still got to pay that upfront fee. So even if I put down a £6,000 advance payment on a car I've got now, I don't get that back in 3 years' time. If I then want the same, even the same car again, I've got to pay another £6,000 to have that car for another 3 years. So actually, it's not free.
No.
It's just because it's run by, I believe, a charitable organisation, you just get preferential rates. So whereas if you wanted a car that was private hire for £300 a month, it's £200 a month for me.
Okay.
And your advance payment might be £4,000, but mine might be £2,000.
Yeah.
So it's just favourable pricing. So
yeah, and I think there is a lot, and without going into the politics of it, there are a lot of people that do qualify for Motability that I look at sometimes and think, I'm on the edge here. I work in a world of mental health and neurodiversity, and I understand that you can't see every disability. Yours is very visible. I can't see everyone's, and I sometimes look and when I do hear their story, I'm like, okay, I'm still on the edge on whether mobility is necessary for you. But I would probably look at yourself, and when people are saying that to you, yes, it was a drunken night, and I'm sure if you could go back in time, you would never do the same thing over.
Oh, definitely not.
But also, these people who are saying, should you have it, would they trade their leg for a car?
No.
And that's the big thing, isn't it? You're still having to live without a leg and without an arm.
And even from my perspective, because I now go to the limb centre as well, with you saying about people with better legs, I sometimes go to physio and I hear people moaning that they're a below knee. So at least they've got their knee, and they're sat there moaning, going, oh, this is uncomfortable. And I just sit there to myself and I'm like, I need to bite my tongue because you've got your knee. If you've got your knee joint, that is a big thing, because you can still go rock climbing. You can still like run without needing specialist legs like I would need, because I've already been told, because now I've got this leg that will enable me to kind of run at a jogging pace, but probably not for a long period of time. I was looking at the possibility of getting a blade. The NHS, the woman told me straight away, she was like, we will not fund you a blade. That is all privately funded. Of which I then turned around and was like, well, how much is one of them going to cost out of interest? And they were like, easily 100 grand. Because
Wow.
Not only have you got the cost of having the components, they would, even if you could afford the cost of a blade, they won't fund all the physiotherapy. They won't fund a prosthesis to put it all together and fit you. So everything would have to be private.
Okay.
So straight away, I've got that in my mind now. Do you know what? I now can't even do that unless I get funding.
Yeah.
But again, my mentality, I now go back and pull that back in and go, well, at least I got a prosthetic leg and I can now possibly jog. So that's the next phase.
Yeah. So it's that perspective again,
Yeah.
isn't it? And keeping yourself there. Wow. £100,000. Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It is a lot of money. And I guess, so let's talk about then. So as you're recovering, and you've already said you had good mates, good support network, and I totally get that. That is important.
Yeah.
Whether you're suffering with mental health issues, whether you're suffering with disability and overcoming that support network is really important, and having good people around you. So they got you out, got you doing stuff, which you've already said, getting out clubbing, got you away from that crutch. Amazing.
Yeah.
When it comes to things that you couldn't do, tell me some of the stuff you couldn't do that you wanted to do, where it's affected your life and changed your life, and how that made you feel in that moment.
If there's if I have to really pull something out and be like, do you know what, I physically cannot do that, and that is an actual barrier, is I really enjoy playing football.
Okay.
So football was a big part of my life. I used to play 2 or 3 times a week. I used to play 5-a-side. I used to play 11-a-side. I used to cycle to and from work. So I was quite a bit of a fitness freak, really, to be fair. So I would probably say definitely the football. I would even sit there and just be like, oh, I can't play football anymore. So I'd have to find a way of doing it in terms of like just down a field. But even then, I used to play in goal. I used to play in defence. So it was a bit of everything. So I would have to probably say definitely football, because that was a big part of my life before I had my accident. Even playing football at lunch, on my lunch break while I was at work, we'd have football and kick around, watching football. So yeah, I would definitely say that. And again, it was one of them where I physically couldn't do it because I didn't have the ability to do it in terms of my leg, because where I was 18, so that was 20 odd years ago now. So they didn't even have the technology to enable me to do that. Yes, they had things like amputee football, But the problem you've got with that is, although it's a disability sport, they still had things that you had to do in order to be able to do it, and that was having two hands, because you're not allowed to wear a prosthetic, so you need two hands to be able to use two crutches.
Okay.
So I physically couldn't even do it.
Right. Okay. So tell me then. So football's a big part. I love football myself, and this is why I couldn't imagine being in your position. Because right, and even the other day, and this sounds really selfish, I turned 46 in a few weeks, and I've played veterans football since I was 35. And now I'm realising my body is 10 years on from the people that are coming into that, and I can't recover quick enough, and I'm having problems with my knee and stuff like that, and all these things. Seeing you puts that into perspective for me, which is what we talked about earlier, and I couldn't imagine being in your position. But did people treat you differently? Those friends that you had from football circles, did they treat you differently? Does that change the dynamic within your friendship group?
Not personally, because again, I would then, because of my friends, because of the friend and the group support that I had there, I'd still go along. So they'd pick me up, we'd go watch Sunday League with them, watch them play. But then they would still kind of involve me, because I would then still go in goal, for example, as they're warming up, and they'd kick balls at me and I'd still play it, because I just had that attitude that I just didn't even care. I still wanted to live my life, and I didn't want anything to stop me. And also, I think because I met my wife and I had the children after my accident, thankfully, I think that helped, because they didn't know any different. They just knew that I couldn't really play football.
Yeah.
So again, it's almost like, I would probably say that I was also had the benefit of how everything's worked out in my life, that it's all fallen into place. Whereas I've already said to my wife on more than one occasion, if I was with her prior to the accident, things would be going in my head, oh, are you staying with me through sympathy? So I must admit, I'm in the fortunate circumstance that I think it's worked out quite well in terms of how it's all happened.
And I think that's a good mindset to have. And I'm a big believer of everything happens for a reason. I don't believe in coincidence. Can I always see the reason why that happened? What was the positive there? But I think that, yes, you've turned this into a positive and said, I'm not going to let it halt my life. Because I think you said it could have been so easy, couldn't it, to just go, I've lost my arm, I've lost my leg.
Yeah.
I'm done, and I'm just going to sit here.
And again, I contribute a lot of that again to my wife, because I met her not long after my accident, and because she's never viewed me as disabled, she's never really kind of been like, oh, I need to do this for you, I need to do that. As a matter of fact, she, by her own admission, she's a bit of a princess, so I would still do everything.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things that she always pinpoints to people is how I helped as a father when the kids were young as well. So I would still get up, do night feeds, I would still change their nappy, I'd make dinners, I can use a tin opener with one hand. The only thing I must admit I do struggle with, which I have to hold my hand up and go, right, I can't do, is peel potatoes.
That's a good excuse to get out of that, isn't it? Because it's probably one of the worst jobs. My mum and stepdad had a pub when I was growing up, and my job was to do the potatoes when I was 14. So I had to stand out in the cold, rumble them, and then chip them. I could quite happily not see another potato for the rest of my life. So the fact that you can get out of that, that's amazing.
So again, I know I keep going back to it, but I must admit, part of my life which has helped me has been my wife, quite literally, because again, she would sit there and be like, why don't you do it? Yeah. And because she is like that, that's made me the way I am. Because I think if I grew up and I had somebody go, oh, it's all right, Dave, I'll do that for you, I wouldn't have had my own independence.
Yeah.
So that has helped. And the way in which I approach things is I try and find a way of doing it. If it's not done that way, I will find a way of doing it. Because even out of self-pride, because I don't want to ask for help, which probably is a bad attribute, but it's actually probably helped me. So I wouldn't view it as a bad attribute.
Yeah.
I would actually rather take an hour to do something than ask for help.
Stereotypically, that is a man thing, isn't it? We don't always ask for help, which is something where we need to break that around mental health, is because men do find it harder to talk, find it harder to ask for help. And we do need it. Yeah. And there's a strength in that vulnerability once we learn how to ask for help. But I guess you've discovered ways to adapt.
Yep.
The body's an amazing thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing you've got loads of like little coping strategies in there where you can go, actually, I can still do this on my own.
Yeah.
And like I said before, I saw the dynamic between you and your wife, and I can see how you bounce off of each other, and I can see how good that relationship is. And certainly in terms of keeping you on that mental health path of strong resilience, positivity, it's obviously there. And I think there's two bits I want to talk to you about in terms of what I knew about you. So you mentioned the football. And you said to me out before we came on air, you said something, and you're actually going off to train with Brighton.
So I reached out because I've now got this leg. I'm now again in the fortunate position where this leg will allow me to run. So what I then explored is actually, do you know what? I can now possibly find some way of getting back into football now, because I've now got the ability to be able to at least run.
Yeah.
Whereas before I kind of had to sidestep almost like a crab in order for me to be able to have a faster momentum than a walk. So then now having this leg has now opened up other opportunities of me thinking of other things that I can now do to obviously help and progress my life a bit more now. And one of them was trying to get back into football. So I reached out to a few kind of amputee disabled football clubs. So Brighton was one of them that came up, and so instead of doing kind of like competitive amputee football where they go to levels of like representing England, they do an inclusivity football. So once a week, they just get everyone within the disabled community, whether you've got two legs missing, one, and basically just play football. So I'll be going to my first training session on the 1st of September. So yeah, we'll see what that's about. So I said to them, even if I can get to play in some capacity, whether that's just me kicking a ball because I can't quite run yet, or even if you want to throw me in goal just to have a little bit of a laugh, but it's just, I know for a fact that I can then play with similar football, so nobody's going to judge me that I can't play or whatever. So yeah, I'm going to give that a go now for the first time. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm buzzing.
Believe me, I've played with some able-bodied footballers that don't run. So,
well, I'm in the fortunate position again. That was another thing. Just going back now that I was left-footed. And luckily enough, my amputation is my right leg.
Yes.
So I've still got my trusted left foot. So I'm quite happy with that. So I didn't have to relearn to kick a ball again.
That's a good thing, yeah, because that would be difficult. I think I can only just about use my left foot. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just my standing leg. But so that element, does that drive you forward, knowing that you can now do this other stuff?
Yeah, definitely. And again, that's come with technology. So unfortunately, it's probably nothing I could have done any sooner. But because now of my mentality, now that I've got this opportunity to be able to run straight away, as soon as I was approved for the trial, that was all that was going through my head. What can I do now? It wasn't like, oh, I've got this, brilliant.
Yeah.
I was like, no, do you know what can I do? I want to do this, I want to do this. And I was even looking to the extent, I remember going home that night and I was Googling events and things that people with disabilities have never done, because I might be a bit late in life now, but I was looking at things where I could possibly be the first above knee amputee. Because when you see a lot of things online, it's people with below knee.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's rare, but a lot of the things, if you haven't got your knee, that's it. You are quite restricted in what you can do. But I was there like Googling, like, what can I do? Because I've just now got that mindset where I'm like, what can I do?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that shows your positivity, I think, because you want to drive forward with this. I've said so many times with these shows when I've been doing these, we are so lucky to have the NHS.
Yeah.
We really are, as a country. And I know they are understaffed, overwhelmed with everything that's going on. My daughter's an A&E nurse, and I hear firsthand how much they're restricted by the fact that they just don't have the budgets, they don't have the staff. And it makes you think how lucky we are to have it. Because if this happened in another country, where you in another country, let's say for example, if you're in America and this happens, do you know how it works?
No, so I have reached out to a few people online because when I was given the opportunity to look for new legs, I didn't know what was available to me at the time. So I was Googling a lot, and I now, because I've kind of reached out to quite a few people on social media and that, a lot of them, I see a lot of comments of people that have got the knee that I've got, and they're saying, how do I get one of these? And because I know more about the type of legs and knees that are available within the kind of amputee market, I can see that there's some countries now that are giving people the very basic leg I had in the UK when I first lost my leg. Now, that was, 20 odd years ago, but they're getting that now in their country. So whereas there was another guy in Sweden that swore that his healthcare system was brilliant, that he's got the leg that I'm not allowed, that's restricted to veterans here in the UK. Yeah. But yet in Sweden, he's allowed that leg. Okay. But he's just a normal civilian. Yeah. So there are countries out there where they're obviously allowed the best technology, and there's others where you're not. And I don't quite know, because I see quite a few people in America that have got the knee that I want, but I've not fully reached out to them to say, how can you get that? Because again, I'm not going to upset myself and sit there and keep looking at that knee because I know I'm not allowed it here in the UK. So I'm not going to do that to myself and go, oh, I want that knee. Because again, I appreciate the fact I've got this one that enables me to do the things that I couldn't do on my last leg. So I know I'm improving. So that's where I take the positive out of it.
A question that just popped into my head, and I don't know why it suddenly came in now, but so you said that you're on a contract when you go past the trial stage with this leg.
Yep.
You're on a contract for 5 years.
Yep.
So if technology improves in that 5 years, you still got to wait the 5 years till that's up to get the later model.
That's
Does that make sense?
that's possibly my understanding. It's more the NHS is in a contract. So once we've taken that leg out, I think it might be a 5-year period. But when I went for this trial, they said to me, I've got to keep this for 5 years now. So I think it's all part of a service package because that's what. So to the company that I manufactured this one, are called OSSA. So I think they say you have to keep that for 5 years, come back every year for a service sort of thing. So it's almost like a whole package.
Yeah. It's almost like buying a car on finance. Yeah.
Yeah,
we said it's almost like the same price.
Yeah.
So,
but then me as a patient, if I get anything wrong with this leg, I can then take it back. I get it fixed. I get it adjusted. I can go for physio as and when I want on the NHS. It's just that this physical knee itself, if it breaks, they then send it back to OSA, who will then give us a trial. They'll fix it because, again, warranties and things. But it's just the fact that I won't be allowed a new leg. I think that's probably because of the cost of these legs, that they can't just go, if Dave wants to be spoiled, then he's not allowed this leg in a year's time, because actually the amount of money we've invested in this leg, why should he then have another 20-30 grand leg in a year's time? So I can see why they do it, again, because of budgets and things. So,
and I guess the thing that you must be thinking all the time is that technology is suddenly moving very quickly, and we're able to do a lot more. Like you say, 20 years ago, it was very basic. But probably in the last few years, I'm guessing the technology has started to come through and be more readily available. So again, as being for being an amputee for quite a while now, I've seen the technology move, and now that I've got this leg that I've got now, I personally can't see how they're going to get any further. There might be legs that are out there that may get better, but it will just be little tweaks. So just me going from my old leg 5 years ago to this one, I can now walk on the same leg, I can run on the same leg, and it can go in water. Whereas before, the leg I had previous, that was seen as like the Rolls Royce of legs out available on the market. Yeah, and that was really good, but yet you couldn't get it wet. Right.
So
it limits your life a little bit, doesn't it?
Oh, massively. So even silly things that people take for granted, like going on holiday, I would need to take my actual leg and take a waterproof leg with me. So I'm walking through the airport with this leg in what was like a body bag, just to enable me to get in the water. Yet when I went on holiday 6 months ago, I chose not to take that leg because I didn't want to. I was like, no, I'd rather not wear it. I don't want to bring it because it's a hindrance on my life. I have to carry it around. I have to switch legs. If I go in the water, I have to take my leg off, put this one on. So again, because I've now got this one, I can just, if I want to go in the water now, I can just walk in the water and that's it.
Yeah, and it is bits we take for granted. You know, I say it, and I'll say this over and over again in this interview that we're having here, is that I couldn't even imagine, you know, being on the beach and not just being able to walk down and go straight in the sea. I couldn't imagine it.
It has kind of put my life on hold. But again, I must admit, I'm again just going back to what I said before, where my children know no different, they already expect that I can't go in the water. So they wouldn't sit there and go, oh, you used to be able to do that, Dad. And so again, it's helped, because if I was in that situation and I was able to do it before and not now, it'll be a bit different, because they'd be like, oh, you used to be able to go in the water. So again, I now take the positives that I can do this with all this leg now. So again, I'm thinking of things that I can do. Straight away when they told me I can go in the water, I was like, oh, brilliant. I can now go on this. I can do this. I can do that. I can go on a jet ski. I can go paddleboarding. Yes, there are restrictions still. So they're saying you can only stay in the water for half an hour in like 1 or 2 meters deep. But again, I couldn't even get my foot wet. So I couldn't even go into my ankles and it not touch the knee, because they call it a microprocessor knee. So it's actually got like a little mini computer chip in it. So you could understand why that couldn't get wet, but I couldn't even get my foot wet on my prosthetic. So I couldn't even I couldn't even wade in the water. I just couldn't even get in it unless I took my leg off.
And
which hopping on beach stones hurts. So
it's like walking on Lego, isn't it? But the people that are listening to this, you know, and are probably going to be in the same position as me, that they couldn't even imagine not being able to do those things.
No.
But yet you're facing that adversity with such a smile on your face. It is inspiring to see. And I want to talk about something now that you are really passionate about, because it was the first thing you said when you woke up in hospital. How am I going to play my PlayStation?
Yeah.
So tell me about it. And look, for the people listening to this, Dave has got the best handle for his YouTube channels, for his social media channels. That it's amazing. I'm going to let him tell you what's your handle.
So it's I have one arm, one leg. So it's really cool that it's like absolutely unique that I've actually managed to get it across all my social media handles, which is pretty cool. So I haven't had to change Dave Myers or David Myers 1 and things like that. It is literally I have one arm, one leg.
Yeah. So if you want to follow Dave and start looking at what he's doing from a gaming point of view, because let's talk about that as well. Yeah. I have one arm, I have one leg. That is such an amazing handle. It blows my mind. It's funny. It's got everything that embodies what you are to me. Actually,
it's my brand. It's me.
Yeah, and it is that positivity that comes through, because we do use humour, don't we?
Yeah.
As a deflection method, and I don't know whether you use that all the way through, whether it's been a coping strategy for you.
I think it's just been me from day one. Even when I was younger, I remember all my kind of like reports from school was if David applied himself to his work as he did entertaining his friends at school, Dave would be an A-star student. So I've always been a bit of a class clown, which again has probably helped me.
Yes,
because I do look at the positive things in life, and if you don't laugh, you cry.
Yeah, I get it, and I guess there's probably times where you sat there thinking, if I wasn't the class clown, I've still got an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
But also, it's the bit that drags you through, right?
Yeah.
And I can see that, and that handle is just, having met you briefly before we came on air, that handle for me is perfect for you.
Yeah.
So why is it so unique now, your gaming? Talk about it.
So essentially for me, again, going back to how I've adapted things, back in when I was 18, 20 plus years ago, even big companies like your Sonys and your Microsoft, they never had accessibility controllers. It's only been recent where obviously I think a few more people have been coming through now. They've got amputations, they've got disabilities that they're not able to move their muscles as much.
Yeah.
So again, I adapted myself to a way that I still play my PlayStation on a standard basic PlayStation 5 controller. When I explain to people how I play it, they can't fathom it. So I hold the controller in my left hand, but then I rest it on my right stump. But I use my top lip for the R1 and R2 shoulder buttons, and I use my tongue for the circle, square, triangle, and X. And then I use my bottom lip, the ridge between my bottom lip and my chin, to roll the right analog around to be able to look around.
Yeah.
To be able to play it. The only thing I do struggle with is where I've got to use my top lip for the back shoulder button. I have to change the accessibility side of that so it's the R1, so it's a bit closer, because otherwise I'll probably end up getting lockjaw after playing my PlayStation for 2 or 3 hours a night.
Yeah. So you really adapted to that, and do you find that people are morbidly curious and how you do that? Is that what it is?
Massively. I even had people back in the day, because I wasn't half bad back in the day playing things like Call of Duty and FIFAs, which I still play now, that people would actually, certainly in the earlier days when I was a little bit better, finishing like the top of the leaderboards on like Call of Duty, they'll be like, you ain't got one arm, one leg. And I'm like, I literally do. So I actually had people messaging me because they could work out my gamer tag, because a lot of people, because it's also the beginning of the sentence, it changed it to a capital Y, which makes it look like an L.
Yeah.
So people go, Lav, one arm, one leg, but still they still see the one arm bit and they still don't believe it now, which is what then, after all these years, has encouraged me to put a video on TikTok of me playing it. And people are just like, mate, you're better than me and I've got 2 arms.
Yeah.
So them positive comments do drive you forward, definitely. And give me a bit of an ego boost.
How you get the dexterity in your tongue and your lips to be able to touch those buttons, that must have taken some time.
Yeah, it does ache your jaw as well. So I can only play the PlayStation for a couple of hours a night now.
Right.
It does ache my jaw. But the biggest obstacle that I overcome is when my friends are shouting at me saying, well, why didn't you tell me you was there? And I'm like, I'm trying to play. I can't talk to you with my mouth open while I've got an analog in my mouth.
Yeah, and that was going to be the other thing that I say is like, because now the technology's there, we're talking as we're playing these games. Obviously you can't be involved in that side of it. So that must be difficult when you're playing collab stuff where you're teaming up with teammates.
Yeah, it's not too bad because they got like things like a ping system, but I must admit when you've got to do 4 things at once and you're literally occupied, it can be a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
So my mantra when I tell my friends, I'm like, I'll shoot now, ping later.
Okay.
Because I've just got to shoot. I can't even say he's over there because by the time I've done that, these little 16-year-olds that just playing the PlayStation every day have turned around and killed me. So
yeah. So and I guess so. Look, for the people that can't see the video, Dave really has only got one arm, one leg. So anybody that plays against him and gets beaten by him, that is really what's happening. You're being beaten by the fact that you've adapted your body to be able to play to that level still.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong, I'm not esports quality. I won't be called out to Saudi Arabia anytime soon. But
yeah,
I do it for enjoyment. It's a bit of a release. I've now kind of converted an outdoor shed. So my wife's now got rid of me out of the house now. So I just sit out there, just get online with actual real friends that I've known since school as well. So it's not just like a computer community.
Yeah.
I do have them friends as well, but it's just kind of that's my release.
Yeah.
I don't need to go out and do things that cost me a fortune to go do. I'm happy to go sit in my shed and just play my PlayStation for an hour or two a night.
Coping strategies, right? I talk about coping strategies all the time, and that is the most simplest form, isn't it? If you can find something that makes you feel comfortable and makes you feel happy, that resets those endorphins in your brain.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I mean, I've still even got a group of different friends now. So I've got one friend where we just went round his house and just had a film night and watched that new Happy Gilmore film.
Yep.
Just got some popcorn and some fizzy and I just chilled around his for a couple of hours. And I've got a friend who I'll just go to the pub with to watch the football. I've got friends that I jump online with. So again, it just goes round to having that support circle of friends that have got the same interest as you. Because again, if I had that friendship group or even any form of friends, I'd have probably been like self-wallowing and not doing anything. Because also, if you're not busy, you think. Yeah.
Yeah. And someone once said to me, thoughts are good, thinking is bad. And I can sort of, at my darkest times, I can say, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You know, because when you start thinking about things, you overthink things and you overanalyze, and we run these scenarios because our brain loves it. They are really not good.
Yeah.
So what would you say to people that are listening to this? Let's say someone's just woken up in your position. What do you say to them?
Obviously you can't teach this sort of stuff. It is my personal opinion, but you can help people. And one of mine is just to see the positive in everything, whatever it is. Don't think about what you can't do. Think about the things you can still do. Appreciate what you've got, not what you haven't got.
Yeah.
That certainly helped me.
Yeah. And I guess it must be so easy to think, I used to have both my limbs.
Yeah.
There and they'd be fully working and now I haven't. It must be so easy to fall into that trap.
Yeah.
So that positivity is a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Even my work, where I work now, they even asked me to do a little bit of a speech on positivity because they can just see it from me. I had only been there for something like 4 months and they can just see it that, again, it just goes back. Like I said, I've worked all my life, but people look at me and they do assume. When I turn around to them and I said I lost my, because I'll get people stop me in the street being like, oh, was that in the war? Like in Afghanistan, because I'm that kind of age group as well. And I'm just like, and I sit there and think, no, but it happened for this, but I still do this and I still do that and I do this. And when people are like, oh, you work? And I was like, yeah, ever since I've lost my arm and leg. But I just then found a job I can do, which was sitting down in an office doing sales, account management sort of thing, because I can do it in an office. Like, yeah, it would have been nice to be doing something like labouring and keeping trim and fit, but
yeah. But again, I guess that's how you keep yourself in perspective and go. And this is really cliche, and I hate it. This would be a glib thing for me, and I'm sure someone has said it to you at some point. At least you're still alive.
Yeah,
it probably doesn't help, and I know that. Certainly after my suicide attempt, and people are saying, you know, you survived it. And I'm like, yes, right. I never wanted to die. But I know why I'm here now. That's what it gave me.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if I had ever said to you, at least you're still alive, I don't feel that's very helpful.
No. So again, no. But again, if you take a step back, they're looking at it from a positive level again. So actually, they're thinking about it positively.
Yeah.
So again, I really don't mind it because they are absolutely right. I am still alive.
I guess the intention is good.
Yeah, that is the best part about a bad situation. They are right. That it was either lose a limb or death.
Yeah.
So, okay, even if you, I guess if you go to people in the street and say, what would you rather do? Would you rather have one leg or die today? Or one arm and one leg, sorry. They'd be like, oh, do you know what? Yeah, take the arm and leg.
Yeah.
There's a guy actually online that says something as well. And he said, And again, hearing all these little things because they come up in your algorithm when you're searching for people. Like there was this guy in Australia and he was talking to this reporter, and he said, if I give you $10 million today and you can do whatever you want with it, but unfortunately the consequence of that is you dying tomorrow, would you take it? And the reporter goes, no. And he goes, there you go then. So your life is worth more than $10 million.
Yeah. And of course it is. Money is needed, so it makes the world go round. But yeah, I'm not trading my life for it.
No, exactly.
So
I must admit, no, it really doesn't bother me because they are right. I could have been dead.
Yeah. And I guess I always go back to this, to the girl that lost her leg on the theme park ride.
Yes.
I think it was the Smiler or whatever it was.
Yeah, Alton Towers.
Yeah, and she lost her leg and she got £1 million in compensation. And when people listen to that story, they go, oh, £1 million, that's amazing. I wouldn't trade my leg for £1 million. No. £1 million, yeah, they're going to have some money in the bank. Money's great.
Again,
my leg working is...
Yeah, again, because they're not in that situation where they've lost a limb.
Yeah.
It's like when people say to me as well, they say, if you had the choice of having one limb back, what would you have? And I'd be like, leg all day long.
Yeah.
All day long.
Yeah.
Or even if we go into that extreme, even if you pull it back an extreme, I would rather have my knee.
Right, yeah.
Like if I had the choice of losing my leg, if I could keep my knee, that's it. You're absolutely laughing.
And people don't think about that.
No.
They don't think about it. And this may be really offensive as well, that a girl in the pub once said to a group of us, drunken conversation, would you rather lose your arms or your legs? And I think that unanimously, we all said, I'd rather lose my arms than my legs, because it is such a difference in your life, isn't it, to have those legs?
Yeah, massively. Just silly little things like, I think it takes me on average something like 7 or 8 minutes just to put my leg on. From sitting on my sofa, just to put my leg on to be in a position where my leg is on and fixed in place takes me about 8 minutes. And yes, that is a long period of time as well, but doing it in the summer. Literally, I am sweating before I've even left the house.
Yeah.
So I'm there going upstairs, drying all my sweat off, getting a towel, putting talcum powder anyway, just to cry before I put a nice, clean, pressed t-shirt on. I'm already sweating.
Yeah.
And again, it's just that. Like, and we had this conversation with my physio the other day because she wants me to do more activities with my leg on. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to go out in my shed and work out and just put my leg on for that. Well, it takes me too long and I'll be sweating and I'll be doing this. And again, people don't fully appreciate the effort you've got to do just to be able to be in a position just to go out walking.
Yeah. And I guess there must be days where it still gets you down.
Yeah, but again, I've got to contribute this again to my wife because she'll be like, no, we're going out.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh, but I don't want to. She's like, no, let's go out. So again, without that drive from her and that enthusiasm from her as well, I could easily just sit there and go, I'm not wearing my leg today.
Yeah.
And I know I still do it, but then I'm a bit more circumstantial. So if I go around my friend's house and I know I'm there, I don't know, having a games night or a film night, I just won't wear my leg, but I'm only hopping from his driveway to his house.
Yeah.
But it's more comfortable, so there's no point me wearing my leg. But if I'm going out for a walk or grabbing a coffee, then yeah, I'll put my leg on.
Yeah. Do you feel self-conscious about it still?
I'd probably say more my arm.
Yeah.
I've never really kind of liked my arm, hence why back in the day when I used to wear my sock.
Yeah.
But I live with that kind of element of positivity that I know my wife don't care. She'll grab it, she'll touch it, she'll sit there and say, no, what are you doing that for? That, yeah, I must admit, but I personally, not from other people's perspective, but I don't like my arm. I don't like the look of it.
Yeah.
And again, that's because it's all disgusting, scrawny, whereas I used to kind of work out, so my other arm is a bit more built, a bit bulkier, and then I look at it and I'm just like,
yeah,
I just don't like the look of it.
And I think, and it goes with everybody, we all look at our bodies, don't we, and say, there's bits of it we don't like.
But I must admit, legs have got so cool now that they are properly looking bionic now. So and you've got kids that come up to you and they're like, what's that? And I'm like, cool, innit?
Yeah.
Like, it's a really cool bionic leg, and they just look, they're even looking smart now. So
yeah. and quite honestly, obviously you can see it. There's no hiding it. But I'm most humans, and I put myself in this, that once I start talking to you, I've even forgotten.
Yeah.
Until you said it again, and I looked and whatever, I forget because I'm just talking to you, and it's no different.
It all just becomes natural for me as well because I've adapted myself as well. So like little things like the wife, if we've been shopping, she'll be like, oh, it's all right, leave the bags. And I'm like, no, I actually use my stump and I can carry more shopping on my arm than I do with my normal arm. I just stack it on there. I call it my little hook.
Yeah.
So I'll just literally put all like shopping bags on there and walk down the road and carry the shopping on it. Yeah, it don't bother me. I thought I lost my wallet once because I put it under my stump arm, and I forgot it was there, and I was looking everywhere and thought I lost my wallet.
That's amazing. But it is another man thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not doing 4 trips for the car. No. I'm carrying them all. I'm taking all of these bags in one go, and I'm glad that you're carrying on with that stereotypical man thing, even though because we've got to keep doing it. We're not doing 2 trips.
And again, I'll always put myself in that position as well, whether it's a masculine thing or what. But I'll still do everything. So if I'm redecorating, I still do the wallpapering. I do all the flat pack furniture. I built. So when COVID hit, I, like most people, decided to turn my shed into a bit of a gym. So I brought one of them big old multi gyms, and it said 2 people need to do this, and it would take something like 2 hours. No, it took me 8 all by myself. So I put a whole multi gym together because I've also got that pride of like, no, leave me alone. I will do it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And to be honest, the whole thing, when you approached me after a barbecue at a friend's house, that's how Dave and I came into contact with each other, and said, you want to come on? And I said, you are the perfect type of guest, because to go through something so horrific, that trauma, to face that in the way you have, is inspiring to any person listening to this. That's inspiring. And for me, I'm inspired by the way you've just gone, do you know what? I'm going to live my life.
Yeah, and I've got that out. See, you say that, and I not take offence, but I don't think I've done anything ordinary. I've just got on with my life, and that's how I felt that I've needed to do. And people go, no, seriously, like, you need to. I've even had people go to me, oh, you need to do inspirational speaking. I'm like, yeah, but why? I've just got on with my life. I've just done what I needed to do to get by in life.
but that's the bit, the modesty and the humbleness that you show there is what is inspiring.
Yeah,
because you have just gone, I'm alive.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get on with my life, and there's nothing I can't do. Even if it takes me 8 hours, I'm doing it. So, and that is what's inspiring, because there'll be people out there that are able-bodied that couldn't even comprehend what you've gone through, but they've got their own issues that they can't even get out of the house. And I think sometimes listening to other people puts it into perspective, and it will show that actually I'm still alive. I'm here.
Yeah.
We're here for a short time.
And again, and I know people probably don't believe me when I say it, but that's where kind of like I put my mantra in the fact that there's always someone worse off than me, regardless of what walk of life. Even if it's just I've got fresh running water here, and in other countries they don't even have that. Or like my son, he's diabetic, and he kind of feels down about it sometimes. And I'm like, yeah, but at least you've got 2 legs. What would you rather have, diabetes or a missing leg? And he was like, diabetes. I was like, well, there you go then. Automatically, you're thinking positive. You've got diabetes, but at least you're not walking around with 1 leg. So I know that there are people out there in this world that are missing 2 legs and 1 arm, or all their limbs, or they're stuck in a wheelchair because they're a quadriplegic. So I appreciate the fact that I've only got an arm and leg missing. Yeah.
And I say this all the time, no matter what's going on in my life, it can get really bad sometimes. And we all have issues that we're dealing with. I always say, do you know what? There's a million people out there that would want to be Dan Darwin.
Yeah.
So there is a lot to be grateful for. And gratitude's one of those highest vibrations. And I believe in the universe and manifestation. And I believe in that positivity, bringing in more positivity. And honestly, it's been a pleasure having you on. I want to finish this by asking you one last question. And that question is, Dave, you've said you've adapted to be able to play PlayStation, which was the first thing you woke up and said, right? And you've adapted so you can do that. Amazing. You're going back to football.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I can see how that would be such a buzz for you to be able to do that again. What is one more thing that you are going to do that you've been thinking about for a long time and you're thinking, do you know what, that's what I'm going to do now? What is it?
I still need to find it, but my thought process was do a challenge.
Okay.
Something that someone who is disabled hasn't done. One of them, which I don't know how I'm going to do, but I would actually genuinely love to do, is there's this event called the Red Bull 400. Now, what Red Bull do is, do you know the ski slope?
Yeah.
They do that, but you run up it.
Okay.
So it's on a massive gradient. Now, I know one amputee has done it, and she was the first amputee to do it, but she's a baloney.
Okay.
So that would be pretty cool, but it's next year. I think they do it every year, so I think next year might be a bit too soon.
Okay.
But again, I don't know how to get into that event or have that support network to be able to go do it, because it's in other countries and things like that. So,
well, if anyone from Red Bull is listening, let's get Dave involved. So if anyone from Red Bull or anybody who has contacts for the Red Bull 400, let's get Dave involved. We know his handle now, so we can get hold of you. And I'm guessing we're going to be able to follow you more on social media.
I know this is out of your comfort zone, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is out of your comfort zone today. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been great to have you on.
Thank you.
And I look forward to following you more on social media, following that story as you get more au fait with the social media world and putting yourself out there. I think your story's worth telling and listening to and inspiring other people. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming on, Dave.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me.
And that is the end of another episode of Hello You. Thanks for listening. And if anything's resonated with you today, please feel free to share this, comment, and talk about it, because mental health needs to be talked about.
Thanks for being here, and thanks for being you. This was Hello You, where real conversations create real change. If today's episode moved you, challenged you, or simply made you feel seen, then share it, talk about it, and be part of the ripple. And remember, no matter where you are or what you're facing, you're never alone in this. We're building something together, and there's always room for you. I'm Dan Darwin, and until next time, be kind to your mind, be kind to yourself, and hello, you.